Hello, everyone. So, this is our second game for the interactive fiction playthrough. This is Children of the Gods by Rohie. So, let's get started. Okay. The universe was quiet. It was the one moment in all of life's history that there was no love, no hate, no war, no peace, no life, no death. Not a single atom pulsed. And then there was the essence. This section is for those who wish to start from the beginning, skip past the prologue, and delve, I think, into the first chapter, have some of their questions answered. So let's not start from the very beginning, or like let's just skip past the prologue, right? I mean, I think these are things that we can learn along the way. Okay. So the great prophet gazes upon her. Let's go with baby girl. I mean, I'm a girl. She is mesmerized by her eyes, clear as day. They are the color of. Okay, so I'm thinking that these are like the parents, like your godparents, but um, personally, if I'm going to be choosing a Greek god or goddess, I'll probably go with Hades because it's an interesting choice. Most people would probably choose Zeus or Poseidon, but then let's go with Hades. I mean, I think he's a bit misunderstood, right? I mean, a lot of movies portray him as bad, but I don't think that he is bad. He's just using or playing with the cards that he's dealt with, right? And I think he's the older among the three. Poseidon and Zeus. Zeus is the youngest. But anyway, let's go. Those eyes, as compelling as they are, send a shiver of both fear and pride through the great prophet. She sighs, resting a warm hand on the baby's soft cheek. The great prophet has decided to name her child. Okay, I'm gonna go with Nyx, just because it sounds like the night, and I'm playing this right now at nighttime. It's 11:25 p.m. in the Philippines, and I'm supposed to be asleep. But, well, here I am. I'm playing. All right. In another part of the world, a creature that resides deep within the depths of the universe itself has opened its eyes. It feels the weight of every binding this world has to offer upon its back, pressing it down further into an endless abyss. It snarls at the wisps of smoke created by the god of the underworld that attempt to lull him into a state of dreaming, the same state it had been trapped in for countless years. But the creature has not been asleep for a long, long time. The creature wills the elements around it, the ashes, dust, smoke, and copper. They bend to its power, as old and ancient as time itself. The elements are not enough to free the creature from its prison, but they are enough to lighten the weight upon its back. The creature rises, its physical body a plume of dark smoke. Though it has no corporeal form, it still has its mind, and that mind can reach through every layer above this prison, past every barrier that stands in its way, weaving itself into the mind of the weak, persuading them, twisting their will, controlling them. The creature calls it darkness, its voice trembling the world around it. Awaken, it commands the shadows. Alright, we're going with chapter 1. Okay, November 9th. The gods are angry. Of course, the gods are always angry, but today they're furious. The sky rumbles above you, and a thick, dark cloud looms in front of the once blue sky. Thunder startles the crowd, people standing near you, and you can hear a baby screaming in the distance. The sky has taken on the most aggressive nature. When the gods are angry, they seem to communicate with mortals through weather, and for the last few weeks, the message has been loud and clear. The mortals may not know that the gods control every aspect of their lives, but they must feel some divine interference. You turn and walk away from the crowd, keeping your hands in your pocket and your hood down over your face. You check behind your shoulder not once, but twice. Anything can happen now. You think to yourself, you haven't bought a new shield charm in months, and although you haven't seen any hunters in a while, the possibility always lingers in the back of your conscience. But not as much as my most recent altercation, you muse. You shiver, recalling your run in with the Chimera this spring. The Chimera was obviously no hunter, but it was just as lethal. Okay, so um, we are going to choose between, I guess this is strength, and clever standing, son of my voice alone. I think this is like cunning and long enough to formulate a plan. I think this is like intelligence or something. So I'm going to choose the one that um that shows strength because in the real life I'm not that strong. Okay, and we're playing fiction, so let's just use our creativity and be someone we're not. You remember that day? It was just one of the many adventures you found yourself thrown into. After your stay in Illinois, you had caught a plane to New York, and to your surprise, the city had a low hunter presence. You had scarcely seen one in your months of residency. Actually, this is the longest you've stayed in any location since you left Phoenix. As you approach a particularly deserted street, a woman on the opposite side of the sidewalk swiftly makes her way past you, and you stop dead in your tracks. Aunt Alice? You ask. The woman looks at you with furrowed brows, taking a step closer. Upon closer inspection, you see that you've made a mistake. Though she has your aunt's dark hair and tall, elegant figure, that's where the similarities begin and end. The woman shakes her head. I think you have me confused with someone else. You nod silently, slightly embarrassed by your mistake. The woman smiles kindly at you, then continues her way down the crowded sidewalk. You haven't seen your Aunt Alice in over 3 years. Your mother's older sister, Alice Angelis. Is it Angelis? Angelis? What is this? I'm gonna go with Angelis. Right? Has raised you since you were born. She took you under her wing, treating you as if you were her own child. Incidents like this seem to be happening more and more frequently. You'll turn a corner and mistake a flash of brown hair for your aunt's signature long locks, or you'll confuse a stranger's voice for her own. It's not as if this is your first loss. You've lost so many people in the span of your short life already. It seems like a game of chance. Who will be next to go? But the loss of your aunt left a gaping hole in your life where she used to reside. Some days you feel that absence intensely, like a phantom limb, but other days you're able to ignore it. This is not one of those days. You are 2 years old. You lay on a warm bed between a man and a woman. The man, you recall, is a close friend of the woman who feeds you and makes funny faces in attempts to incite your giggles. The man visits you often, and you distinguish him by his dark eyes and quiet demeanor, humming with power. You also know, even at such a young age, that he looks at you with love in his eyes. She grows more every day, he says softly now, placing a hand on your chubby cheek. The woman watches the man, her expression soft, her cold as stone. Alright? Her cold as stone. Anyway, I was concerned before about whether or not any of this would work, whether it was worth it. The woman admits, her hair catching wisps of the fading sunlight. But she won't even need me. The child was born good. Her voice turns into a soft whisper, and she takes a hold of your small hand. But whether she will stay good, the man glances at you, bringing a hand toward yours, which is currently positioned in front of your perplexed face. You note the strange shape on the inside of your right palm. You believe it's called a circle. You So you can either reach out and grab his hand, you can bite his hand as soon as it's within reach, and do nothing, eyeing him with disinterest. Okay, now if I was to choose, or if I were to choose, right, I'm going to reach out and grab his hand. I mean, I'm not going to bite that, right? And I'm not going to do nothing, because that's like the man who makes funny faces and who is there for you, right? So I'm going to go ahead and reach out and grab his hand. The man's large palm engulfs your small hand, and he smiles brilliantly. Eros is more amiable than you, it seems, he teases, glancing at the woman. What's Eros? I simply haven't had time to teach her how to bite, the woman scoffs. Give next time. Soon you'll walk out of here with the most curious looking bite marks. The man places his hand at the woman's cheek, and a warm sense of love fills the room. You are lulled into sleep by their soft voices. So is that our uncle? I mean, it seems like the man is actually very affectionate to our Aunt Alice. So, well, you're 6. Aunt Alice had spent the night prior quizzing you on things that no ordinary 6 years old should know, like the atomic mass of every element of the periodic table of elements, for example. That's very specific. When the first rays of sun break over the horizon, you stand outside your house with your aunt, your small feet leaning over the curb. Aunt Alice grips your hand tightly. You look up at her, fondly, smiling. "Where are they?" she asks, her voice irritated. "When they take such effort to print 8 a.m. in italics nonetheless, am I wrong to assume they'll keep their word? How unprofessional." You turn away from her and toward the street. A bright yellow school bus is fast approaching. Your aunt begins to adjust the strap of your backpack and throwing last-minute advice at you. "Make sure you play nice, or something that. Finish all of your lunch, even the broccoli and the green beans. No arguments. Ask questions, always ask questions. Knowledge is power. You know that, my love." It is only when the bus driver clears his throat that Aunt Alice bids you farewell. Although she tries to hide the tears welling up in her eyes, you still manage to feel one land on your own cheek, leaving a warm trail in its wake. See, broccoli and green beans. I love green beans, especially if it's like in the Philippines. There's like this adobo, so you just mix green beans um with soy sauce and vinegar, and then put in garlic and onions, and there you go. Adobo green beans. But broccoli, I don't really like that. You sit at a table with six of your other classmates, coloring in a baby giraffe. Giraffe. A girl with dark skin and beautiful long braids sits across from you, coloring within the lines. She had told you her name was Amy, and offered you her favorite marker, Periwinkle. What? A pale boy with inky black hair sits to your left and stops every few moments to pull on the hair of the girl beside him, whose name you know to be Lucy. After the third painful yank, the girl lets out a heartbreaking scream. Tears pool in her green eyes, spilling down her ruddy cheeks. Stop it, she screams. Why are you doing this to me? The teacher, Miss Suarez, stops before your table, an eyebrow raised in question. The boy simply smiles at Lucy, shrugging. I never even touched her. Now, let's see. I know I have to teach him a lesson, and I would tell teacher it's the only way. It's survival of the fittest. I join in. Not gonna do that. It's none of my business. Not gonna do that. Okay. So, if you see someone bullying someone else, what do you usually do? Well, if it's in real life, I'd probably just tell that person, hey, stop, right? But this time, since we are in a fictional world and we are playing someone we're not, okay? So I'll go with I know I have to teach him a lesson. I always have that dream, or not really a dream, but somewhat of a fantasy that no one knows me, and then much like a vigilante, but not to the point where I need to take a life. Just to teach a lesson. Okay, that's what I fantasize about. But well, let's choose that. It's only when Miss Suarez's back is turned that you begin to mess with the boy. You pull his chair back when he stands to reach for another crayon, and when he motions to sit, he falls onto the floor. When he turns his head, you pull in his hair, just as he had pulled on Lucy's hair. When he dares to reach for Lucy's ponytail, you swiftly smack his hand away. It's after the third painful smack that he stands up. Stop it! He exclaims. Why are you doing this to me? Mrs. Suarez makes her way to your table, hands braced to her hips. What is it now? The boy points an accusatory finger at you. Nix keeps messing with me. She won't leave me alone. You smile sweetly. I've been drawing this entire time, Miss Suarez. You turn to look Josh in the eyes. I never even touched him. Miss Suarez smiles, fooled by your sweet face and plea of innocence. Josh stares at you, mouth agape, while Lucy smiles, her eyes shining with gratitude. From across the table, someone watches you, Amy. Her big gray eyes glare at you, a knowing glint turn her gaze. Her eyes are so familiar, you think. You smile at her, and after a brief moment, she smiles back. You are 10. It is spring. You are in your Uncle Henry's car on your way home from Grant Elementary. A soft voice sings out a tune in language you don't understand. Of course, knowing Uncle Henry, it's most likely an old Greek opera. Opera. You stare down at your hands, unconsciously tracing the circular birthmark on your palm. It's the circle, right? It was, Uncle Henry says, his voice soft. You never asked what the nickname meant. You just loved that it was reserved for you and no one else. I have some news to share with you. I won't be around for a while. It will only be for a few months at the most, but I wanted you to know ahead of time. It continues. You narrow your eyes. You narrow your eyes. Where are you going? There's somewhere I need to be next. Some people need me. Uncle Henry says this with such cold, detached finality. You wonder what's truly going on. Panicked and unsettled by this news, you protest as loudly as I can. I believe in my house. Attempt to guilt him into staying. I can't let this happen. Try to stay calm. I can't let my emotions get the best of me. Stare straight ahead, unflinchingly numb. Okay, so in real life, I usually try to stay calm, right? I usually try to stay calm because, I mean, what can we do? If they want to leave, then they will leave, right? But here, I'm going to protest as loudly as I can. What do you mean some people need you? I need you. You nearly scream. You twist on the leather seat and out of your seatbelt's grasp, struggling to catch his gaze. Your small hand latches onto his shoulder. Uncle Henry glances at you. "Careful, Nix," he says, his voice strained. "Please put your seatbelt back on, and why do you have to go now?" you ask, louder than before. "And who are these people?" "Alice will explain," he says. "Please sit back down." "I won't," you had declare. "How can you just leave? This makes no sense." Uncle Henry tightens his hold on the steering wheel. You feel your shoulders tense under your grip as he turns away from you. The emotion in his black eyes undefinable. You don't speak for the rest of the car ride. When you finally get home, you make no move to exit the car. You can see your aunt's perpetually cold gray eyes staring at you through the large living room windows. It will only be for a short time, Uncle Henry promises again. But you hear the doubt in his voice. "I'd never leave you, Nix." Years pass by, and you realize that you'll never see him again. See? "Watch it," a voice shouts, breaking you out of your thoughts. You expertly sidestep, just barely avoiding an altercation with the man pushing a baby stroller. You sigh as he passes, trying to regain your composure. "Uncle Henry," your thoughts echo. "What happened to you?" Of course you asked Aunt Alice a million and one times before. Did he meet someone? Did you break up? Did he already have a family of his own? Did they have a fight? Was it something you did? Was he dying? Aunt Alice had never given you a solid answer. She would always sigh in her dramatic way, staring at you with tired eyes, and say, "People aren't meant to stay in our lives forever." Yes, that's for sure. I agree 100%. As you turn onto a particularly crowded street, you spot a small, rusted statue of Zeus surrounded by old candles. An elderly woman kneels before the statue, face in her hands. Over the years, you must admit that your feelings about the mysterious gods has developed into something more feasible. Okay, so lost to be part of their world, no strong opinions about them, completely despise the gods. Okay, so as of this time, I actually have no strong opinions about them. You know, I think most of us have no strong opinions. We just want to live our life without fuss, right? We just want to survive. So let's do that. The gods are the gods, and nothing you can do can change that. But you should have a say in what they involve you in and what they leave you out of. And frankly, you don't want anything to do with that way of life. You've had more than enough. Your thoughts shift back onto the task at hand for today. Your busy charm is dimming. Busy charm, and you need to strengthen it once more. What's a busy charm? You cross the jam-packed street and walk down the sidewalk, seeing a bookstore just a block in front of you. The outside resembles a typical bookstore, with displays of the current stock, and you know what really lies behind the false exterior. A magic keep. Magic keep? The glamour of the bookstore melts away as you walk through the barrier. A faint blue light lights you for a moment, then vanishes, and you step through the large mahogany door. The store is much, much larger on the inside than it looks from the outside, due to the glamour that shields it from the scrutiny of the mortal gaze. Okay, I see. So, basically in this world, um, humans or mortals don't know that magic or the gods exist. Alright. Gnomes, orcs, elves, and even the ancient scorpianus, how do you say that? Raise wonder the store. A giant opening in the seemingly endless ceiling shines a beam of light down through the entire magic heap. Bookshelves that must be up to 50 feet tall flank every wall of the bustling shop, filled with what you imagine being every book on spells, shields, incantations, and charms ever made. You pat the satchel at your side, reminding yourself that you're on a budget. You briefly wonder what the currency for the magic keep is. It's different in every city. You try to catch a glimpse of what everyone else at the register is paying with, but can only distinguish gold coins. You can only hope that for convenience sake, this store accepts drachmas, the official currency of the gods. You scan the rows, your interest growing with each new discovery. Potions for health, charms for speed, and the components for your shield charm. The components are shred oxhorn, greens for the Neverlands, and dark fairy dust. You can pick up your items and make your way to the register, but then you pause and muse the idea of buying more magical items. Okay. Hmm. I mean, if you're presented with this, um, like choice in any interactive fiction game, I noticed it's basically telling you to do something, to buy something. Alright, so we're just going to buy an item or two. You turn back around and face the rows of magical items once again, unable to keep the grin off your face. You scan the selection, narrowing down your possibilities to two items. Okay, so we have a Mirror of the Red Sea and Mist of the Truth Springs. Okay, so For mirror, turn the person who gazes upon the glass invisible for a short period of time. Okay, and the other one is creates a veil of white fog concealing everything within 50 feet. Okay, I'm gonna go with the mist of truth springs. You smile to yourself and grab the glass bottle. This will be useful one day, no doubt about it. As you walk through the vast space, you marvel at how just a few years ago, places like this were unknown to you. Though you've always known you were a demigod, it wasn't until later in life that your powers revealed themselves for the first time. You are 13. Okay. Almost immediately after Uncle Henry's disappearance from real life, you and Aunt Alice moved. Aunt Alice had gotten a promotion of sorts, and you relocated to Phoenix, Arizona within the month. Soon you were admitted into Preston Preparatory Academy. The school was founded in the late 1800s, had a prestigious and diverse list of alumni, and held the highest standard of education for grades 6 through 12 in all of Arizona. Is Preston Preparatory Academy a real I don't think that's a real school, right? The weeks pass, and you come to terms with the fact that the school is, of course, challenging at first. The curriculum is far more advanced than your last school, and the children are even more fiercely intelligent. You're also required to join at least one sport and play at least one instrument. Now, story time, quick story time. So I am from the Davao region. So when I came to Cebu for college, I was actually um, surprised about the gap between the curriculums because um in my high school back in Davao, right? You think you have not really things that you need to learn, but in Cebu, they were already um like studying accounting concepts, so debit and credit. They already have that subject in high school. We don't have that in Davao region. So when I went to Cebu, because I was taking up accounting at that time, I was really like surprised. I was not really behind, but it was definitely a challenge, right? And you wonder, can you like really pass this subject when all of the others already understand what the teacher is saying, but then you don't, right? Now I'm not the only um, person from another um like another province, another place there, but yeah, I think like 90% of my classmates were from the same school in Cebu. So I guess that was the challenging part. But yeah, anyway, let's go back to the game. Uh, Deciding to wait until you're well adjusted before joining a sport, you turn your attention to music. Your aunt insists that you play the piano, violin, guitar. So I play the guitar in real life. I do rhythm guitar. We had a band in Davao, so I was the rhythm guitarist. But I always wanted to play the piano. I mean, it feels elegant. It feels classic. So let's go ahead and choose that here. You sit for hours, 4 times a week, at the piano bench with your instructor, a regal Russian woman named Ivona. She herself is a brilliant player, but it quickly became apparent you didn't need an instructor. You were a naturally gifted child. After a few months, your lessons had turned into playing original scores for Ivona while she sipped on herbal tea. Even you have to admit that when you place your fingers over those keys, it seems like even the wind stops to listen. You bid your time until you can no longer ignore the countless flyers set up around the school. There are members of teams trying to recruit as many people as possible every second of the day, and countless rallies coming up in celebration for different sports. The entire population of Preston seems to be obsessed with athletics through and through. Finally, after weeks of debate, you decide to join. Okay, track and field, swimming team, cheerleading squad, basketball team. Okay, so, in my grade 4 to grade 6, I was a volleyball player. In high school, I switched from volleyball to basketball because I realized that the shorts were too short and I'm gay, so that's it. And then, in college, just so that I won't be dancing and, I would have a free pass, I think that was a prelims. I can't remember, but I ran that was like 100 meters in track and field. I didn't mean though. I mean, I just joined just so that I would be exempted from the exam. So in this game, let's go back to our. Okay, I don't want to go track and field, and I don't want to go swimming. I don't want to be the cheerleader squad. I mean, I'm gay. So we'll go to the basketball team.